You're very welcome to the Good Friday edition of Lorna Porca. It's Tomás McCarthy here till 7 o'clock, and hope you're all keeping safe and well. Coming up, the big GA story of the week. Colm Keys from the Irish Independent on the 12-week suspension for Dublin football boss Dessie Farrell. Lockdown legends. Former Mayo footballer David Brady on how he helped elderly GA fans during COVID-19. The road from Ballymac. Former Waterford boss Michael Ryan on 45 years in management. And later in the hour, Peter Queally will chat about the Mark Dalton 5K this weekend. So there's only one place to start on this week's Lorna Porca. The Dublin County Board have suspended manager Dessie Farrell for 12 weeks following an early morning training session on Wednesday that breached COVID-19 guidelines. And for more on this, delighted to be joined on the line by GA correspondent with the Irish Independent, Colm Keys. And Colm, the Independent broke this story yesterday morning with pictures of some high-profile Dublin players. Can you first of all describe what happened on Wednesday morning?
On Wednesday morning in Inishfield's Gaelic grounds on the Malahide Road on the way out of Dublin, it's very secluded up a lane. It's where Dublin, it's their winter training base where they prepare in wintertime through the league, pre-season and through the league, and then they move to DCU when the evenings lengthen for championship. That's been the way it has been for a number of years now. But Inishfield is very secluded, very, very, if you want to do something covertly, it's probably the best place in Dublin in terms of GA pitches to do it. But on Wednesday morning, Dublin, a number of Dublin players conducted a training session. Looked as if it was non-contact from the pictures, and I expect it was, and it appeared that all guidelines were being observed. But the fact of the matter was it contravened both state and GAA rules as they are. So obviously we carried the pictures and the story on Thursday morning's paper. It did offer Dublin an opportunity to speak on it during the day on Wednesday. That opportunity was declined. And very, very swiftly, the GAA made it clear that they used the words frustration and extreme disappointment, because obviously only on the Tuesday night beforehand, they had issued a statement welcoming the return to games, not just of inter-county, but of juvenile underage squads in their pods of 15, non-contact, of course. And that was all signed off on Tuesday evening and announced by the Taoiseach from the steps of government buildings. So with that in mind, the GAA issued a statement where they really doubled down on the collective training ban and implored upon teams not to do it, and suggested it would jeopardise the future further rollout. And that probably applied to club games further down the line. I mean, how would any breach, basically what they were saying was, how would any breach reflect with the government? And sure enough, government officials, and Jack Chambers, the Minister of Sport, have said this, we're in touch very, very quickly with the GAA on Wednesday morning about this, and the GAA issued a statement and said they would investigate. But in the meantime, Dublin Management Committee took it into their own hands, and as is consistent with the two previous cases earlier this year, the manager bears the brunt for this, and Dessie Farrell was suspended by Dublin yesterday evening for 3 months. So that's where it is. I suppose you could say, well, what harm were they really doing? But and they, in the greater scheme of things, they probably weren't. They were young men taking physical exercise in the park, observing, good public health guidelines. The only problem is, as I said earlier, it contravened rule. And this is Dublin, 6-time All-Ireland champions. So that carries greater weight.
And from your understanding, Colm, will there be any further penalties for Dublin over the coming days?
Well, it's down to the GAA's management committee, which obviously is headed by new president Larry McCarthy. So they'll obviously take their own look at it. I think, if you want, for want of a better word, the heavy lifting has been done by Dublin. I don't expect that the suspension will be added to. As I said, it was consistent with Ronan McCarthy in Cork. It's obviously a month more than Paddy Tally in Down for similar breaches. I would expect that Dublin will lose home advantage for at least one of their forthcoming league matches. The fact that it was quite clear that this was in contravention of state law could lead management to say, well, this is a more serious breach than the previous two in some respects, because of our repeated warnings and because of the public guidelines at the time, so that might add to that level of suspension. But in terms of Dessie Farrell, I don't see him getting any further sanction. I think he'd serve his 3 months, and he will be back for the Leinster Championship if the fixtures are rolled out as we think they will be. That would see the Leinster Championship starting at the end of June. Dublin would be in action in early July as quarter finalists, and Dessie would be back on the sidelines by then, having served out the league.
And as you mentioned earlier, Colm, Director General Tom Ryan said on Tuesday that any breaches would likely put the broader pan to return to activity in serious jeopardy. Could this weaken the GA's position in terms of going back to collective training and also rolling out the league and championship for the year ahead?
No, not in the short term. Not with this breach in isolation. I don't believe government would look at it any differently. The Minister for Sport said it himself yesterday. There are 31 other counties who they believe are observing the rules. Personally, I don't believe it myself. At least I didn't up to Thursday morning. It may have focused minds a little bit more among inter-county managers. In some cases, I don't believe all. I think some will still see the risk, or the risk not being as, not the reward being greater than the risk, shall we say. So I think some teams will still continue to train discreetly, away from prying eyes. Obviously, this isn't Dublin. It might be easier to hide away in other parts of the county and other parts of the country and not be caught out like this. So I don't think it jeopardizes it in the short term. If there was another instance of this, another breach, another 2 breaches that came into the public domain, then I think there would be problems. And I actually think that the GA themselves may consider saying, okay, this isn't working, we're going to pull the whole lot. That is an option that they may consider.
Well, Colm Keys, GA correspondent with the Irish Independent, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Tomas. Thank you.
Lorna Porca with Tomas McCarthy on WLR.